Hi, this is Erica Poindexter with the Poindexter Real Estate Group. I am with Christine Laborde in Houston, Texas, and we are on episode 4 already of Leaving California. And I've been interviewing agents around the country about what it's like to live in their community, what kind of options people from the Greater Sacramento area might have to move somewhere else. We've talked a lot about why people might be wanting to leave California or potentially job changes and things like that, especially now with everybody working from home. And Christine and I have been Facebook friends for a little while, and she works in Houston and some of the surrounding cities. So we thought it would be a great opportunity for everybody to see what goes on out there. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Christine, and then we'll kind of get into it.
Hi, Christine. I handle Houston in and all around. Third generation Houstonian, actually second generation real estate agent. I've been an owner and investor of real estate for 12 years. So if you have a question, I probably have an answer because I've had to do all the stuff, change all the light bulbs, get all the lenders for myself. And then so my clients do get a ton of benefits. Get calls all the time. Hey, I need a painter. Hey, I need a plumber. Hey, there's a possum in my backyard. Like, who do I call? So I enjoy being contacted even for all these random things, even past close. So
yeah,
I do work in the city for the most
and
part.
You do work in Houston, where you were calling it the Loop, yes?
Yes. So majority of my production is inside the 610 Loop, which is the highest property value in Houston, and then just outside of it. However, I go out to Pearland, Sugarland, Katy, Richmond. I've done a couple of purchases in a retirement community in Richmond, which is fantastic. I'd love to do another segment about that. And so all things in and around Houston, but lion's share of my production is within the Loop.
I have an agent here that actually might be a good contact for your retirement community. There's 2 here, and she primarily works both of those communities. So that might be a good match for you to talk about, because some people might want to leave and head off to Texas and have a similar lifestyle, because it's all like master planned and all kinds of amenities and things like that for people. Mm-hmm. So Houston, so tell me a little bit about what it's like to live in Houston, or potentially some of the cities around Houston, and what kind of lifestyle people can expect if they decided to leave.
So Houston is very diverse. We're not as diverse as New York, but we're getting there. There's a high mobility. So back, when air travel becomes as popular again, you can get to a multitude of places, even abroad, really quick. And that's one of the reasons why I love Houston so much. In my last career, I had to travel a lot. So it was easy for me to get on a plane, go to meetings, and be back at home with my family and good time. I didn't have to take 2 flights. So if you live in the city, all sorts of restaurants, all sorts of music, even now, live music. There's a high walkability in certain areas. So if you want to be able to hike and bike, you can do that. And then as you move out to the suburbs, there are some absolutely fantastic master plan communities, which have pools, tennis courts, tons of parks, and 4th of July parades. Even amid COVID, they just space out a little bit more. So really, it depends on where your mobility is with work, school, play, where you should live, and like what's your tolerance to your drive time too. So when people move to Texas, sometimes they'll say, "Oh, I want to live in the Heights," which is very popular inside the Loop. I said, "Great, where are you working?" Well, if they tell me the Beltway and I-10. I tell them, turn off your GPS. I'm going to send you an address, and you map it and make sure you're okay with that commute time. So sometimes it really shocks people. They're like, wait, 38 minutes, no traffic. I can't do that one way. I was like, okay, then let's look here. Yeah. So your mobility tolerance and your timing, I think, is really important in addition to your price point. So,
and what was I going to ask? We were talking about other large cities, New York, LA, that kind of thing? And are you seeing, and this is a question I've been asking kind of everybody I'm talking to, because a lot of people that I'm seeing leave here because we're so close to the Bay Area. And a lot of people used to live here and commute to the Bay Area for work, especially tech companies and things like that. But we're seeing them leaving because they have endless, infinite work from home schedules now, and they aren't going back to the office ever. So they're picking up and going to other places where they might have wanted to live all along. So are you seeing that from other big cities coming into Houston? And because price point wise, I mean, are they getting a better value by moving to Houston? That kind of thing.
Absolutely. So I moved a couple couples from San Francisco area to Austin. So I'm not licensed there, but I have agents I work with there, and they are tech. And one of them has told me repeatedly, we would have never been able to buy in California, a house that would fully fit our family. So they're just ecstatic. And then there's another gentleman moving from Colorado to Austin. It definitely has more California feel. It's not as easy to get around. If you want to go overseas, you have to be more strategic about it, although that's, harder to do right now. I have a lot of people moving from New York to Houston. So we actually do have a heavy tech presence here. You wouldn't know that. So the three major industries are healthcare, tech, and energy. Most people just think it's energy. And but seeing a large influx, have a bunch of people renting, some buying. Some people have gone to rent, and then I show them what they can get for their money here inside the loop compared to where they were. And they're like, oh my gosh, let's buy.
Let's do it.
So yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, if you're moving from Manhattan to Houston, even inside the loop, which is the most expensive price point, you get a lot more for your money. More grass or any grass.
And I guess for me, because I was explaining, my parents live between Austin and San Antonio. And San Antonio is a huge city. Never really realized how large of a city San Antonio was compared to what I know, San Francisco and that kind of thing. And I never really put Houston in that bucket either until we talked this morning. And to me, it was just like, Texas. Like I didn't really have this vision of Houston being this large city the way that reality is. And I think that that's what's so fun about this series is I'm having a good time learning all about all these places and expanding what my thoughts are. Like everyone in California thinks that we live by the beach, which is not true. So it's like, what people's visions are for what reality is. It's kind of been an interesting.
I think Northern California hills, walking up hills.
Yeah, that's where I live. I live in the foothills, and I was showing property this weekend, and I probably walked 3 or 4 miles on acres all weekend long. So it was beautiful. It was worth the whole Saturday, but I definitely got my steps in. That's for sure.
So important note about Houston. If I were to do that in Houston, the humidity is brutal here most of the time. So the thought is, if you can get away in July and August, do so. But if I were to walk 3 miles in 98-degree heat, which happens, not 3 miles, but walking from car to work, you're just drenched in sweat.
It was a perfect 80 degrees. We were at about 4,500, 5,000 foot elevation. So I wouldn't go out there in about another month. It'll be covered in snow. But it was beautiful. And so it was a lot of fun. Okay, so I'm going to show a few properties and then we can kind of talk about those areas. The first one is in the Loop. Is that right? Am I right?
Yes.
Am I doing that right? Okay.
Yes.
So this is a townhouse, right? Or is this a single family?
This is a townhouse.
Okay.
Correct.
So
and
this is
in an area called Montrose, located inside the Loop. You see a lot of young professionals in this area. the median price point is about $650. You can go less, but the homes probably need work or they're really, really small. And then if you move further to an area called River Oaks, single family homes, the price points adjust upward the closer you get.
And the reason I chose the $500,000 price point is because where I'm at, that's about our median home price. And I just kind of wanted to compare apples to apples. We'll see some less expensive properties that are outside of this loop, but somebody could be watching from San Francisco or something like that. So I still want to kind of show a variety of things. And we'll get into the inside. Oh, that's a cool building. So question about like architecture and things like that. Is this a newer building or is this something not what we would normally see? Or is this what everything looks like? Oh, she's a little bit frozen. Oh, there she is.
Can you hear
back?
me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So my question was if this is standard like architecture, what it would look like, everything out there.
I'm going to keep talking. Maybe you can still hear me. So this particular home was built in 2009. It is considered newer. There are a lot of new construction built in 2019 and 2020, but the inventory is pretty low. Up until last month, those things would come on the market and they'd be under contract within 45 days.
We have the same problem. Our stuff, I mean, we've got contracts, we've got stuff that won't even last a weekend. So
townhouse. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
These townhouse type units tend to be on the market longer. Things with connecting walls will for years have stayed on the market longer. The biggest hurdle with these is having an inexperienced agent on the buyer side most of the time, not understanding stucco maintenance, how to call a reputable company for a stucco inspection. Those are almost always the hurdles I see, like this decking you're showing in the picture right there. A lot of those things, if the house is structurally sound and the substrate's good, is what I'm told by the stucco company, is that they can be easily remedied. So, but we do get there. I do have a lot of problems with moving these with an inexperienced agent on the other side, just because of stucco pieces.
What is the issue with stucco out there? I mean, we have stucco too, but I don't have a stucco inspection.
Heavy humidity. So it's in these 3-story units. So the roof line doesn't go over enough. So you get a lot of the water hit the 3rd floor and fall down. And I'm reiterating what the stucco companies have told me. I'm by no means a stucco inspector. You don't see problems as much on the 1-story and 2 because roof lines go out further. So it's just maintenance. Is it being sealed? Has it, most of the time have the windows been sealed every couple of years? Is somebody walking it from a stucco company? So I live in a 2-story stucco home and somebody walks our house every 3 years. So like we just had some sealant done around windows. So
yeah, so some of these
my clients.
So some of these like rural properties that I do, and then that's kind of it's a different situation, but there's a lot of dry rot from the moisture that the wood sucks up. And somebody will be like, look at all these beautiful decks with all these beautiful views. But if those decks don't stay sealed and maintained, you have $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 worth of deck work that has to be replaced. Yeah, so it's pretty intense if it hasn't been maintained. So we'll go out a little bit. So this is outside the loop, still in Houston.
Yes,
right?
This is on Kilgore, but this is in Houston, and on an area just outside of 288. And most notably, this area is close to the Texas Medical Center, which is the biggest in the world. So this is actually a very affordable price point. What this home lends is 4-bedroom, 4-bath. So if you are a resident and you need to have 3 roommates and lots of extra space for yourself, this would be great. If you have multi-generations that need to live in one house and you can't figure out who gets the biggest bedroom and closet, well, there's 2 very big bedrooms and massive closets. And at $349, you just can't beat it. You have easy commute to museums, zoo. This is actually, with this listing, I'm going to include a membership to a museum or the Houston Zoo to the person who purchases this home.
That's super cool. So with the residents, I was just, we have UC Davis Medical Center here too. And I sell a lot of those. They're small, older homes in that particular area. But generally, the resident can purchase something cheaper than what their rent would be near the medical center. Is that true there?
It depends. I see a lot live in garage apartments, or there'd be a bunch of them that live together. It just depends on where you're living and what you're doing. This area gives you, at this price point, you can get an actual home, and be able to split your mortgage or rent with other people if need be. Apologize.
That's okay.
My phone way across the room.
It'll stop unless they call back.
Yeah, let me go get it.
Okay.
And it back. So this area does have a lot of older homes that are being torn down, and these townhouses are being put up there. I haven't seen many homes rehabbed in this area at all. I think they're getting greater uplift by putting the bigger townhouses.
So somebody asked us, what are some horse communities in Townsend, Texas?
Oh, I love this question. So I play polo. That's a great question for me. Well, it depends how many equine you want. So I have a listing in Fulshire, Brookshire is heavy horse community, from hunter jumper to just recreational to polo. That area is where we see it the most. There's a little bit in Brenham, but it just depends on what you're looking to do. I mean, I know friends out near your parents in the hill country that keep horses on the property. So depends what exactly you're looking to do. But call me. Horses are my thing.
We'll get Ashley hooked up with you, and she can get out to Houston. So the next property is in Fulshire, like you were mentioning. And so what's the commute from Fulshire to where we were in Houston?
So the first one, the first listing we looked at inside the loop to 30610 Zareen Trace is 34 minutes. And Zareen, my particular listing at Zareen Trace is probably 10 minutes from where you could keep a horse. This whole area is surrounded by anything and everything equine. This particular community, and there's a couple out there, is master plan. So you have pool, lazy river, tennis courts. I mean, you name it, it's out there. They do parades every holiday, even now. It's absolutely exquisite. You can get a 4-bedroom, just a very large house for a great price. And if you work along the Energy Corridor or on the Beltway, this is not a far commute at all. Maybe 15 minutes. So that's what I was saying. Your mobility tolerance and where you're going to work, play, school is something to factor in when you moved. So like Ashley, maybe they're going to take a job off the Beltway and she loves horses. This would be the perfect house for them.
See, that's why you hire us professionals, because we know all of these things, right?
Exactly.
So I think, a mistake that's made often is just hearing what your client has to say or what they see online and what they love, and not asking enough questions to make sure that there isn't a better option out there for them. And I think that inexperienced agents sometimes can be afraid to ask questions because they don't want to lose the deal. And I see that a lot. Like they just don't want to, they just want to sell them what they want and not figure out if that is in fact the right thing for the buyer.
Right. What I try to understand is why. So, because that really is a driver. It's not what you want or your needs. It's like what is your real motivator? And sometimes it'll take like 11 minutes for them to figure out, their true why, but that can really throw you into a different area. And so, I'm going to use Ashley because she asked the horse question, but she could love a short commute, but on the weekends, maybe she wants to ride horses. So
Yeah.
that, and that would make her and her family very happy. And so figuring out that balance would be really good. But, sometimes people will say, oh, I want to move to Houston, and they're going to work in the ship channel. And that's, where you live does matter. I mean, if you want to spend time, if you want to have time outside of work after, it's important to strategically buy where you'll have flexible mobility for your personal time.
Yeah. I had to stop on the brick because it's one of my favorite things when I go visit my family. Is so many of the new communities use brick and stone and everything on the exterior. And we don't have that as much here. And it's just beautiful to me.
Yeah.
Like if I ever got my opportunity to move out there where my family was, my house would be all of that brick and stone. So this is the master plan community. There's the pool, the lazy river. These look like little cabanas, hang out with the family, trails and things, and workout, gym, all of that. What I didn't look at is there HOAs involved in these kind of things?
Yes. Every time to pay for all these amenities, and they're usually really affordable. Let's see if
it
right.
says
$2,000 a year.
Oh, that's nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cheaper than probably their gym membership.
It's cheaper than having somebody to come clean your pool, and
Yeah.
And the gym membership's huge.
Yeah.
I don't have one right now.
I don't either right now. It's like getting in, and anyway, it's busy right now. Too busy for me to get anywhere, but it would be nice.
You did just walk 3 miles.
Huh?
You did just walk 3 miles, so.
I did. Oh, well, and this morning I walk every morning, but on accident in showing property Saturday. So it's not like I don't get around. Okay. Well, tell me a little bit about like what it would, what was I thinking? My brain just went dead. What kind of, I just totally lost my train of thought. Yay. Sorry.
Something good.
I know. I lost it. Anyway, so what are you seeing most of all as far as, again, people moving to Houston and why? I mean, what are the driving forces to people coming to Houston as opposed to other parts of Texas? That's a better question.
Well, this is a long-standing Houston-Dallas debate. Who's better? I don't see a lot of people moving to Dallas, so I feel like the debate is over. You just get a lot more for your money, and if you have the ability to work here, either remotely, but there's also a lot of companies here, tech, healthcare, energy. There are other companies too, but those are the big industries. You can get grass, bigger house, lower taxes, net. So, you get, with all that though, you get the humidity a couple months out of the year. So it is a give and take, but then you just take off in those 2 months.
So humidity though, I mean, you're not going to get away from that in any part of Texas, are you?
Oh yes. If you go to the further north you go, but those are very low density cities.
Yeah. So you're talking rural, like.
For the most part, I mean, El Paso's, the Panhandle, they can get snow, but are you going to have the availability to jobs there that you'd have Houston?
No,
probably not. I don't know the statistics offhand, but I'd be willing to put money that it's a no.
Yeah. It's no. Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of, I mean, like I said, the Bay Area to here. I mean, the Bay Area, if you're going to go into San Jose or San Francisco or something like that, you're going to make significantly more than if you're working in Sacramento. But and that's why a lot of people would commute from Sacramento into San Francisco. And now all of my friends that were doing that, they're keeping their incomes and leaving California completely. And that's where this whole series was born from, because I've been doing a lot of relocation this year out of California. And it's important for me to have those resources for my clients. So I appreciate your time. And if there's anything else that we need to know about you and how to reach you, when I first post the lives, I'll edit your contact information so that people can let you know that they found you from here, and if they're interested in moving. And if you need anything from Christine or myself, please don't hesitate to reach out. We would love to serve you. And thanks again, Christine, and hope you have a fantastic Tuesday.
You as well. Bye, everybody.
Bye.